Hello everybody and welcome back to Garibaldi Red, a Nottingham Forest podcast. I'm Max Hayes, your host, and as Forest travel to London for their penultimate game of the Premier League season away at West Ham, we will discuss that and the Reds' race for Europe and what will be after a probably maybe disappointing last week for the club on the pitch and off the pitch. And of course we will discuss Taiwo Awonyi as he begins to make a speedy recovery after a awful, collision with the post, and that could have easily been avoided if that flag was put up sooner. We will discuss that and a few other bits and pieces throughout, joined by Sam from the Tricky Tees T-shirts business. Sam, good to see you, mate. How are you? And how have you been in terms of a Forest perspective the last week? Because coming out of the game, it was just very, very disappointing against Leicester. Kind of calmed down the day after, but as the week goes on and you look at kind of the last few games now, and you look at other teams, and we hope that Spurs will do a favour against Villa and all of that. It's just, it's just slightly been a disappointing week, hasn't it?
It has been a disappointing week. I mean, I think we were all going into that Leicester game thinking, right, this is the one that can turn it around and put us back on that track to securing Champions League. It wasn't to be. It seems like we may have run out of steam at the wrong end of at the wrong time. But at the end of the day, I think I was obviously very disappointed initially after the game and everything that happened there. And I think as the week's gone on, I've kind of been more optimistic and more kind of resigned to the fact that it's a change of how I'm looking at the games now, which is quite nice. I think myself and maybe a lot of other fans as well have maybe resigned themselves to the fact that we might not be getting Champions League football now, and that the other European competitions are more realistic. So we're almost going into these last two games as underdogs while still being a point behind. We've all kind of written it off, yet we're still only a point behind, and it's football, anything can happen, and things can change instantly. Like, for example, Aston Villa and Chelsea are both in action tonight, aren't they? And a bad result for either of them can all of a sudden change perspectives and change things around. So look, I'm just ready to enjoy the last two games now. I'm hoping for some good performances, some good results, and we can end the season on a high, whether that's in Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, whatever it is. Have a good end to the season.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it, with the football season? I'm a bit like, I love it, and you miss it when it's in the summer, but for some reason this season just seems to have dragged on. I'm kind of looking forward to the end of it, and really, as you say, Sam, accepting that Forest will probably not get Champions League football now and maybe get, hopefully, the Europa League. Still a massive positive, considering where we've been in the past few years. Just before we get on to the game, West Ham and Taiwo, Sam, I just wonder whether something like the Europa League, and I saw this on social media the other day, it was brilliantly put by somebody on X, Twitter, they talked about how the Europa League might actually suit Forest, and Forest might do better in terms of a long-term plan sat in the Europa League rather than playing Champions League football and possibly going out at the earliest opportunity.
It's certainly a better step for us, I would say. European football, two legs, flying away somewhere in Europe. It's a completely different kettle of fish to the Premier League. It's a massive step up. So I think the calibre of teams in the Premier League, in the Champions League is a crazy step up from the Premier League. Every single game that you play in that is you're playing one of the top four equivalent in the Premier League. So it's a massive step up. So obviously, like Newcastle did it in their they had that first season back and they bounced into the Champions League and they had a couple of good results. But you just think maybe a Europa League we could have. You look at the final coming up on, when is it, on mid next week, Wednesday?
Yeah.
That's winnable for most Prem teams if you're looking at it based on who's in the final. So I think if you're looking at, we'll obviously have a much better chance of progressing going forward. In that, I think it's just everyone's got that hooked on that dream, aren't they, of hearing the Champions League music at the City Ground and hosting the likes of Real Madrid and all that. I think it'd be so special. But if you think practically, I think that if you want to go and do well in a European competition, like you saw what West Ham did, and what an amazing day that would be if Forest won a European competition, no matter what it was. And I think, the likes of Europa League would be a stepping stone that could potentially be beneficial for us.
Absolutely. Let's talk Taiwo, Sam, before we talk about the game. Obviously, horrific injury. For then the whole controversy with Evangelos Marinakis coming onto the pitch, that Forest have since released a statement from. At the time, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the football owner coming onto a football pitch. However, in hindsight now, and as I kind of sit and I think about it, people like Gary Neville in football call for more passionate owners and people to be different than the Glazers and potentially the Manchester City owners. Well, if you want different owners, how different do you want them to be? There's that fine line, I guess. And Marinakis is a passionate man. He's invested money into the club. He's lost money. He's lost a lot of money at Forest. He's got the right staff in place, and you can't really fault him for the past year, if I'm being totally honest. I've been critical of him on the past. But in terms of football owners, as far as they go, I think he's a very, very, very good one, and Forest are incredibly lucky to have him and the family and the consortium behind them. So I don't think that's that bad looking back at it. Maybe now in hindsight, Sam, what did you make to that? And also, I guess, horrible to see that injury with Taiwo. Just glad he's on the mend now, and obviously a speedy recovery and thoughts with him and his family.
I mean, I completely agree with you. I when I first saw it, I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, it for me, not knowing the context, and obviously that's what happened to the outside world, the media, and they all took it on, and it looked like he was coming on to kind of berate Nuno and have a go at Nuno, which is the way it seemed. It obviously turns out that it wasn't the case. He was obviously coming on because he was furious about what's happened to one of his players, and the whole scenario around that. I'm not sure kind of who he was necessarily angriest with the most, whether it was medical staff or whether it was the referees that were kind of in control of that kind of situation. But in hindsight, it wasn't as bad as it. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and like you say, the passion is there for everyone to see, and you can't fault him for the amount of passion that he has for the club. And I know sometimes he does things that people question and maybe put the club in the headlines, but I can't really fault him, to be honest with you. And I love the passion. So my opinion of that changed from when I initially saw it. And then obviously the injury was it was a real nasty one. Obviously we all know it could have been avoided if the linesman put their flag up, but you then go down that grey area of, well, if the linesman puts their flag up and it turns out that Alanga was onside and Awonyi stuck it in the back of the net, we'd have been fuming at the officials. So it's a grey area. I understand that people want, well, there's the player safety option, but people want the game to flow, and if we're going to have VAR, we need to have that kind of in place. Otherwise, you'll end up seeing goals disallowed, and there'll be even more uproar. So I think it's just, you have to put it down to one of those kind of freak accidents that happens in football. And it's nice to see that Awonyi's kind of recovered. I think no one really saw or expected the severity of it when kind of saw the news coming out that he was in induced coma and that sort of thing. So glad to see I've just had a listen to Nuno's press conference a couple of hours ago, and he apparently he's doing all right, and his family are with him in hospital, and he sounds like he's just being monitored at the moment. So hopefully he's all good, and wishing him a speedy recovery.
Yes, absolutely. Very, very concerning, and also I think ultimately Forest can question the decision not to put the flag up, but they have to almost question their own medical
What do you think
as well.
on that, though? What do you think on that decision?
But and I mean, look, at the time I'm thinking, why isn't the flag up? But then I agree that you look at the rules of the Premier League now, and ultimately officials are told to almost keep their flag down if they're unsure, or even if they're pretty sure, because in case of VAR is there now as this kind of backup tool for them. I suppose, Sam, in football and the modern game, it's all about what ifs and if things could have been different. So you can kind of understand both sides. This semi-automated offside technology, which we'll see more into next season, surely something like that. There's so much technology in place now. I mean, look at AI and things like that. Surely things like that could prevent, could just call the offside straight away, so it could avoid possible injuries like that. And then Forest, still have Taiwo for the next 2 games.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of ifs. There's never going to be a perfect solution to it, which is annoying, but that's just part and parcel of it. I mean, I saw someone put it on actually. It reminded me of it. As soon as I thought about it, it was when we played Leicester a couple of seasons ago, and Johnson got put through, and I think he went around the keeper and scored, and the flag went up. And from where I was sat in the ground, it 100% looked like he was offside. I barely even celebrated it because I was like, yeah, it's offside. And then they went to VAR and overturned the linesman's decision. So that goal, if the linesman flags, it looks so offside. If the linesman puts their flag up, that goal never is allowed. And then there's uproar about the referees and changing the rules for a different reason. So you can't win on that. I think, to be honest, what they've got in place is probably with the technology is the best they can do right now. And like I say, I think it's just a freak accident. That's what we have to put it down to.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk West Ham. Obviously, speedy recovery to Taiwo, and we'll keep you updated on the podcast with any news and things like that. But looking good, and Nuno seemed relatively positive in his pre-match press conference that Sam mentioned just then. Let's talk West Ham then. Penultimate game. They've got nothing to play for. Forest do. Forest got lots to play for. Must win, really, Sam, isn't it? Surely it's a must win.
Yeah, it is a must win. It feels like a different must win than we've had in recent weeks.
Got relegation 6 pointers as well, like last season.
Yeah, but even like in the last few weeks, I feel like we've been looking at games thinking like the Leicester one and like the Everton at home thinking, oh, we have to win this game or we're going to let people catch up. And now it's like we have to win to kind of stay in it, but we're guaranteed what we're guaranteed already. Like there's no kind of real jeopardy behind it. If we don't win, like we're where we are. If we win, we obviously can push into those Champions League places. But I think there'll be a different mindset, I think, within the players now. I think maybe that take that pressure off them a little bit, being the kind of the underdog, maybe you could say now in the race, and maybe we'll shift their mindset and make them a bit more relaxed and hopefully play with a bit more freedom than they have in the last couple of weeks. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. We'll see what happens against West Ham. Every game in the Premier League is a hard game. I think I say that quite often, but it's always going to be a tough one. So we'll see. Hopefully one of the two, United or Tottenham, can do us a favour tonight. That'd be nice. Just in the run up to it, I think that'll it'll add a bit more pressure onto that game, I can imagine. But it'd be good.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think's gone wrong for Forest recently, Sam? If you had to put it down to something, what is it that's gone wrong?
I think we've got a fantastic starting 11 and maybe one or two subs, and then after that, I think we haven't got enough in terms of Champions League football quality. Like to get into those places, we haven't got enough. The options, we haven't got enough options to like change it, I don't think. And I think that generally is down to January recruitment. It's not my money. I can't say that he should have gone out and spent another 30, 40 million because it's not my money. I don't know the financial fair play regulations and what kind of state we're in with that. So I can't really say anything, but if I was to put it down to anything, I'd say we didn't invest a single thing in January, which every other team has done around us. And it's looking like we've got a bit leggy towards the end of the season, run out of ideas, and the options aren't really there off the bench. So yeah, that's what I'd say, which is, it's a shame. But again, like saying, it's not my money to spend. I can't say we should have gone and done this because it might not be available to us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Can see your point. In terms of the game on Sunday, how can you see it going? I mean, West Ham have had a bit of an odd season, changing managers. Graham Potter coming in, he's not really got the results. He's had a bit of a poor start to his tenure, really. Can you see tell us you can see 3 points coming Forest way, Sam?
Can always happen. I'm confident. I mean, saying to you, I'm going there on Sunday, so I'm going there not expecting. I'm hoping for 3 points. Yeah, I just want us to go out this season, whatever happens. I just want us to go and not go out with a bit of a whimper, because that's kind of seeming what it's looking like at the moment. We can have this. If we've had this blip where we've lost games we should have won, we've drawn games we should have won, and we're now in a position where it's almost out of our hands, and we could turn that all around, and everything that's gone on in the last 2 months would be completely forgotten if we go and put on 2 massive performances, get 6 points, and sneak into the Champions League spots. So, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Where will Forest finish, Sam?
I don't know.
6th, I think.
At least 7th.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, at least 7th. I don't know, mate. To be honest, I think realistically, I don't think Villa are going to drop points now. I don't think that that Newcastle and City are going to drop enough points. And then I can see Chelsea. I can see us beating Chelsea in the last game, and then it meaning nothing. But sixth place, I think, is probably what I would predict. So it's so hard to tell. I'll give you a different answer. I'd give you a different answer after tonight, depending on results. But if what I'm thinking is going to happen, I think 6th.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
I agree. 6th. I just can't see any higher. Sadly, I just don't think you're right. I don't think Villa will drop points. I think Chelsea are unstoppable. But the more and more I think about it, nobody can say it's been a disappointing season, and anyone can go, "Oh, Forest have bottled it." Well, what have Forest realistically bottled? We were never a club that was aiming for where we are. So to get Europa League would just be one hell of achievement still. And look, we've qualified for European football. We're going to be playing some sort of European football next season, even if we've lost the next 2 games. So positives for me is that, and we'll have a nice trip wherever we end up next season. We might just have to change the Callum Hudson-Odoi song. It might be like Bilbao, Ayia Napa. I can't think of any others.
End up in like Kazakhstan or wherever they're playing now.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So we'll see. But keep the faith. I do think Forest can turn it around, and Sunday's a big game. Let's get 3 points, and then it comes to the City ground against Chelsea. Brilliant atmosphere on the last game of the season. Sun shining. We always seem to do well against Chelsea and Arsenal on last home games of the season. So from previous records. So let's go out with a bang, and you just never know. We shall see. Sam, thanks as ever, mate. Appreciate it. Just a short one today, but appreciate your thoughts. I mean, you might have had to chop and change some T-shirt designs as well if the Champions League isn't happening.
I know. It's there's ideas going on in my head for the Champions League sort of stuff, and then that might be parked for another season.
What about having I saw it actually, I think someone did it via AI. What about having a plane with like a Forest plane taking off on a T-shirt, and then a Leicester and a Derby like bus or train below the plane, just like heading to Coventry or Wrexham. Heading to Wrexham.
Yeah, that's a good idea actually. I like that.
Yeah. Crazy that Wrexham will be in the Championship next season. Maybe you could do that. Thanks as ever, mate. Appreciate it. I'm sure we'll get you back on before the end of the season. We'll be back for our review episode against West Ham. That will be hopefully Sunday evening or Monday. Then it will be a bit of an odd week, but we'll have a preview for Chelsea. Then there'll be a review of Chelsea. Then June looks a bit strange. We'll explain why later on and whatnot. So there'll be a few changes, but don't worry, we're not going anywhere, and we'll still stick with you over the summer, whatever happens and wherever Forest finish. So appreciate all the support as always. Give us a like, share and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us across Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you do enjoy the podcast, give us a review as well, because it massively helps. And fingers crossed that Forest can get back to winning ways as they look to hopefully secure a higher finish than where we are now and get... Well, we're guaranteed some sort of European football, but get Europa League, or you never know, Champions League. Keep the faith, speedy recovery to Taiwo, and fingers crossed we can pick up 3 points away in London on Sunday. Come on, you Reds.